People be getting 8% interest rates on cars. I think my interest rate like 7% right now on my car. Yo, 8% on the house. Listen. Where's the rope? Where is the rope? All right, apparently people are buying houses and they feel like they are house poor. Okay, this is you bought your dream house and you're house poor by Social Simone. Let's see what this is talking about.
I am selling my house and I'm getting ready to move back with my parents yet again. I am single. I do have a 9-to-5 job where it does not pay me nearly enough to cover the bills. And I've had this house for about 3 years now and I am just exhausted. I am drowning, barely surviving, not being able to make repairs because the house is now falling apart and I have no money in my savings to fix it. I have been saving for the past 3 years. All I've been doing is working and going straight home. I don't go out. I don't spend money on like coffee or anything. I tried to save as much money as possible so I could get some money to make repairs for this house to make it nice and comfortable and livable. But I am at my wit's end now and I'm just tired. I honestly want to leave my job, my 9-to-5 job that's not paying me well enough to even cover the bills. I'm exhausted. I want to leave, but then I'm stuck with this house.
Hold up, she bought the house by herself though? I think people gotta revisit the reasons why they want to buy a house or why they want to do anything. Some people use everything as like a social status and it's not, okay? There's people who live in $300,000 houses that will look at a $4,000 a month penthouse and be like, yo, that's the penthouse better, right? I think you should buy a house if you're nesting. You're going to have kids. You're going to raise them. Other than that, there is no reason to buy a house because the responsibility that comes with buying the house, you could just negate that responsibility and rent a apartment or something, or even rent a house, let somebody else own it. Unless you're trying to get into real estate, there's really no point in buying a house.
And I just don't want any of it anymore. So I'm selling it. I don't know what my plans are going to be after I sell my house and maybe leave this 9-to-5 job that I'm at. But we're just going to figure it out. And living with my parents is not going to be easy because it is very mentally draining. Financially, yeah, I'll be able to save some money, but it is mentally draining because living with some Spanish parents that treat you like you're 15 yet again, even though you are a grown-ass adult, is just as bad.
Not the parents catching strays already.
I mean, like, bro, I don't know what type of parents people got, but like, if you go to work, that's 8 hours of your day. You go to Pilates after, that's another hour of your day. You might take yourself out to dinner. That's another 2 hours of the day, right? Because you don't pay rent. So now you could just eat out all the time and not unhealthy eating. You can go to healthy restaurants. You could spend money to eat at them restaurants. How much time are you really spending with your parents? The only thing you can't do is bring somebody back home and have sex with them. And some parents allow that. But in the event that they don't, just you're not paying rent no more. Dooneyland happened. You know what I'm saying? Somebody want to cash in a Dooneyland ticket. Y'all go to a hotel. It's safer than bringing them back to your house anyway. All right. You got to go through the lobby. You got to go through mad cameras. You got check in, check out. I don't see what the issue is with living with your parents. Like, what could they be doing if you're gone most of the time?
Honestly, a lot of people find themselves in this situation where they are house poor. What does that exactly mean? According to Investopedia, house poor is defined as spending a large portion of total income on home ownership. This includes mortgage payments, property taxes, maintenance, utilities, and individuals in this situation are short of cash. For discretionary items, and tend to have trouble meeting other financial obligations, such as vehicle payments. And the reason for this is because all of their money is tied up into repairs and mortgage going to their home.
Bro, listen, I was fortunate enough to be raised in a 2-parent house home in a house. I knew how much the furnace cost to repair. I knew how much it was to include a second level thermostat system. I knew how much the shingles were to repair and the roof, the siding to redo. I know how much the basement was to finish. I know all of these things. Okay. I paid attention. The floors need to get pulled up, carpet repaired. Listen, when you hear all of them prices, bro, listen. The only way I'm doing that is if I want a stable place for my children to be from K through 12 and maybe to come back to college for a little bit until they're on their feet, maybe in their 30s. Then they could go, we could sell the house, and we give that investment to them to move on with their life.
After they put all their money into their home, they simply don't have any money left over for anything else. Now let's take a quick look at these comments. The first comment of this video says, just imagine people having no parents to go back to, and that's absolutely true. The next highest comment says, moving back with your parents after buying a home has to be the most humbling experience. And here's what I think about that, y'all. If you need to move back home with your parents, do what is necessary to get yourself out of the financial home. Forget all that pride stuff.
Yeah.
Make it make sense. And I thought this was interesting.
I don't have enough pride to put myself through things I don't need to go through. That's one thing I can't say. I got a lot of pride in a lot of things. I don't have enough pride to put myself through situations I don't have to go through. I don't.
Comment. It says, my aunt rented rooms out in her house to a woman in the same work field as her for years for extra income. She did so well, she was able to purchase other properties. Sometimes you got to make iced tea with the lemons. So let's continue to see what being house poor looks like from people struggling in this current economy.
I bought a house when I was 26 and fell immediately into poverty. Okay, when I lived with my parents, I was living my best luxury lifestyle. I went to South Korea, bought a 2,000 plane ticket, didn't even blink twice. I went shopping, luxury goods, all that. Was traveling.
Yo, consumerism. Consumerism is cooking.
Was just, I was living it up. I felt rich. I had no bills. And I had a full-time 9-to-5 job. I was working as a nurse. Okay, I was killing it. I bought my own house. That first mortgage payment came in and I was like, oh, this is a situation. But at first you think you can handle it, right? Like, you know, what's a couple thou? What's a couple thou?
Hold up, first mortgage payment.
Got it. And then the pipes in my 80-year-old home broke immediately as soon as I bought the house. Wiped out my savings. Then another pipe in a different area of the house broke. Okay, I'm struggling. Okay, I need help. Then
That's why it's called a family house. Family, when you go on Zillow and you type in, you got apartment, townhome, you have duplex, multifamily living, and family home. Family home, okay? That's why it's called that, all right?
Neighbor's pipe.
It is for, I'm not saying if you got the money, you can do whatever you want. But the structure of the way that these things are put into the world, okay, especially in America, like, look, you can rise to the top of society. You gonna have to be in a family though, okay? You just gonna have to do that.
It was a twin house.
Or be in the top 1%. But for the average person, if you want, it's gonna be hard to obtain things at a certain level without some level of communal living. That's just how it is.
Her pipe broke. And she didn't believe that her pipe broke. But her pipe broke on my side of the house. So all of that water that was coming down was spraying into my home. And then my water heater broke. When I tell y'all, I went from living in the lap of luxury to destitute immediately. Now, don't get me to fooling y'all, because it was worth it in the long run, because that house is now worth like 2 times what it was worth then. So I'm actually doing pretty good. But at the time, when I tell you I was struggling, I had to go to my parents every other day for dinner because your girl, could not feed herself.
And as bad as that sounds, I think that this needs to be shared with people because this is honestly what it can look like. There are teams online committed to going against each other. And these two teams are people who rent houses and people who buy houses. And I believe saying one is better than the other doesn't account for all of the nuanced situations that each person faces financially. Your financial situation is not the same as your neighbor's. While
That's a
you may
fact.
be able to afford a mortgage, your neighbor may not, and vice versa. And the same could be said about the expenses that come along with home ownership. In her case, it's very good that her house appreciated in value, but those beginning years when she was facing those repairs, can you imagine if she didn't have the money? Because
Or didn't
opposed
have
to
parents.
renting, you are the maintenance woman, you are the maintenance man. And it doesn't matter what it is. Your roof could go missing. And if a hurricane was to drop the top on your roof, do you have enough money to cover the deductible that you might have to pay because of your insurance not covering the full roof? Do you have money if your water heater goes out? Because that could be thousands of dollars. What if your AC goes out in the middle of the summer? I actually had a lizard get stuck in one of my AC units and I had to call somebody out there because it was 96 degrees in the house. And I'm not saying that to deter anybody from home ownership. These are just things that you have to be prepared for and willing to accept with the cost of being a homeowner. You know, and her caption here at the top says home ownership is not for the weak, and I couldn't agree more. But let's see what these comments says. It says here at the top comment, 2 of my friends make 6 figures. As soon as they closed on their house, they immediately became house poor. Entire savings immediately gone. That last
That's
comment
crazy.
shows it doesn't even have to do with how much money you make. If you have too much house and all of your expenses, no matter if you're making $100,000 or not, is going to that house, that is how you become house poor. You could be house poor in a townhouse, in a single family home unit, or in a huge mansion. The next comment here says, your inspector did you dirty if all that went wrong immediately. Before you close on that house, you need to have a home inspector come look at everything.
Yup.
You need pictures with the comments on all of the discrepancies for anything wrong in that house, because this is something that you want to show to the homeowner that is currently owning the house before you buy the house.
Because you could like make them repair them things before you buy it.
And tell them to fix it so you don't have to fix it. Now, in her case, I don't know if all these things were wrong before and she didn't have an inspection because she didn't speak about that. And this is why you want to have all these things done before you buy the house, because what if the last homeowner actually knew about all of this? And before any of y'all hop in the comments and be like, no, people wouldn't do that.
Bro, people would do that all the time. That's why they try to get off the house. People see a pipe about to bust. Yo, let's do this. This pipe got 2 winters before it is cooked. Okay, so we got about 18 months to get up out of here. That's what people do. No. People do that with their cars all the time. They take them to the dealership. They could have repaired X, Y, and Z. Yo, this tire is kind of getting there. Should I replace the tire? Go ahead and get a new car. Take it to the dealership. That's what happened. But thankfully, the dealership got to repair that before they sell it off. Some of it, but some of it they don't.
People wouldn't just sell me a house with stuff that they know is wrong. Yes, they will. Because once you buy the house, it's yours. It's your problem.
Yep.
And guess what? Some of them know that they have leaks, bad AC, plumbing problems. They know they have electrical issues. And they're not going to tell you. And
Exactly.
that's why it would behoove you to hire a home inspector on your behalf. You want somebody that's going to be honest and upfront with you. And I need y'all to remember this forever. If you are ever trying to get a new build or if you are buying a home, never let them recommend your home inspector. They might be in cahoots. I'm just being honest with you. And NerdWallet published this very interesting article, and it talks about how to budget for a new home so you don't end up house poor. Now, there are resources online that you can use to help you figure out how much house you can afford. And one of those resources is called an affordability calculator.
Yep.
There's actually a link for one right here. Now, it goes on to state, one of the commonly cited rules of thumb is that you shouldn't spend more than 28% of your gross monthly income on housing-related costs and 36% on total debts, including mortgage, credit cards, and other loans. And that's according to a certified financial planner, not me. So comment down below or tell me, do you know somebody who is paying more than 30% of their income, most of their income even, for their home? These are the criteria that
I think, like, we're in my current situation of my household, our Rent is maybe 20%, maybe.
Lead people into being house poor. And I don't want that for none of y'all.
Now that I'm house poor, I've got to make my mortgage payment, so let's do that together. The amount of the mortgage on this house is $362,549.54. We bought this house in April 2025, and our mortgage balance then was $364,500. So we've made a little progress. But like I said, we are definitely in the house poor category, and our monthly payment is $2,919.17. Whew, that's a lot.
I want to see that house, though.
Almost $3,000. Only $347.97 goes toward principal. Then for interest, we are paying $1,926.04. And our escrow is $645.06.
People always talk about how predatory this is, but the only alternative to this is you not get the house. If banks did not allow you to get it, now you might say like, yo, the interest rates might be a little too high. There's this thing called risk. Okay, risk. If we give person A a house and we lower that interest rate, they default after 2-3 years. Or say like the girl who pipes busted, say we gave her a loan for that house, her pipes bust, she goes boom, got no parents to go back to, loses her job. We have to account for the losses even when we have the wins, right? So the only alternative is you rent, all right? Not say you got to be homeless, but you rent.
16 cents. So that's a lot that's going toward interest when we make this payment this month. But because I don't want to be paying this huge amount for 30 years, I am paying a little bit extra toward reducing the mortgage balance every single month. So I rounded up my mortgage payment to $3,000, which means I put an extra $80.83 directly toward principal, and I paid a full payment of $3,000 toward the mortgage. This means our new balance after that $347 and that $80 together reduced it is $362,120.74. Not much of a difference, but we are trying to throw whatever we can toward the mortgage balance when we can, because it makes the biggest difference in the beginning, because it reduces the balance and you pay less interest overall.
That's actually really smart that she's putting extra money towards the principal because she's going to pay it off a lot faster. And another thing that we talked about in one of our previous videos is the fact that a lot of times when people get homes, they log into the app and they want to see how much of this house did I pay off. And often they do this within the first couple of years. And then they log in to be disappointed, to be hit with the same reality that she is discussing here, which is a lot of those payments that you are putting towards the mortgage aren't going towards the principal of the home. It's going towards interest.
People gotta, like, I was thankful enough to have a school when everybody else was taking weight training. I took business essentials and all the like accounting. I took those classes. So like, it'd be shocking me when people don't know this, but then when I realize the decisions I made as opposed to other people, I'm like, okay, this is why y'all don't know this. Like the way interest compounds over time, all of that is written in to these contracts. So like, you're not even paying, they're going to make sure you pay the interest first before we actually give you the thing. Because if you pay the principal first, then it's yours. Then we got to try to get our income later. They're not doing that.
Whatever interest rate that you got whenever you decided to get the home.
It's like in calculators now, you can literally pull up calculators that will tell you, hey, this is how much interest you're going to end up paying over a 30-year fixed APR. It's going to tell you.
Contributing to that interest payment every month. Now let's look at a few of these comments. Paying almost $2,000 a month in interest is criminal,
It's not,
but
though.
honestly it's quite normal, especially in the first 1 to 3 years. The next comment says, bro, y'all are making so much more money than me. Ain't no way I could do $3,000 in mortgage payments per month. And a lot of you could, but you might just end up house poor, like how she was saying she is. She's saying she's house poor because
Bro, house poor is not a thing. I just don't believe it. There's things you could do in the house. The problem is we have these things, right? So you see everything else everybody else is doing. You see them going out to eat. You see them, traveling. You see them house poor. You got a whole house. You got friends, Uno night. You could save up, you know what I'm saying? For a Nintendo Switch, A Mario Party night. Boom. You do knitting on Thursdays. Yo, everybody bring your $2 yarn from Hobby Lobby. We knitting today. And actually, we going to make the skull caps for our kids while we knit for winter, so we don't got to buy them. All right? There is only overconsumption, okay? If you got enough to pay for your house and pay for your bills, you have a whole house to do things in. They got kids, obviously. You take them to school. You could literally only have a house and be fine. Of course, there's public parks. If you're living in a house that's $350,000, there's a public park somewhere. Close, okay? I just don't believe house poor is a thing, okay?
Because all of her money is going into her house. She probably makes a good amount of money. And this is how it happens. And somebody here says something very important. Wait until that escrow shortage hits next year. I was short $800. Taxes, insurance went up. And that happens to a lot of people. And the creator even said that she's aware this can happen and is saying that she's building savings because she is looking to pay it versus raising her payment. What would end up happening if she has an escrow shortage and she doesn't have the money on hand? Say she was short $800. You might end up paying an extra $88 a month as far as your monthly payment goes to cover that shortage. And that's where a lot of people have issues because when the property taxes go up or their insurance goes up, that is how they get those increases in payments that they pay every month. And then they'll get on TikTok or social media, and that's where you hear them saying, my mortgage went up. What they're really trying to tell you is their property taxes went up or their insurance went up, unless they didn't get a fixed rate, aka they got an ARM, which I personally think is a horrible idea. But let's just get into it real quick.
Yo, if you're buying a house and you don't get a fixed APR, yo, you are, oh my God.
What the hell are you talking about?
Yo, I go to the bank and they be like, yeah, we're not going to give you the fixed rate.
What the hell are you talking about?
That's exactly what I'm going to say. But buddy, go ahead, take that paperwork back and let's try this again.
An adjustable rate mortgage is an interest rate that changes periodically with the broader market. Why do I say that I don't think that's a good idea? It's because it's not fixed. Yeah. Fixed meaning you know what the interest rate is year after year. That is one thing that you can get.
Like this is gambler's paradise. I'm about to buy a house. I think the market gonna go this way, so I'm gonna get an adjustable rate. Yo, say good night. Say good night.
Your mortgage is a fixed interest rate. So, for example, would you rather know that you're getting 5% or 6% for 30 years or to not know and maybe right now you're getting a 5%, but 5-10 years from now, you might be paying 12% in interest? That difference can be a huge change in how much you're going to pay monthly. And with the way inflation and everything is looking, I wouldn't want that. That's how a lot of people can end up being foreclosed on for their house because now they can't afford their monthly payment.
But the only way I could think of an adjustable rate being a good gamble is if you literally don't live beyond your means. You got 3 kids, you got a 4-bedroom house, and you make enough money to where, like, if your payment goes from $2,500 to $4,000 is literally not going to make a difference because of the amount of money that you have. That's the only way I could think an adjustable rate mortgage would be feasible. If this house doubled in price or monthly payments, would I be okay? And if that's how you're living, I think that's fine.
It's why I don't think it's a good idea.
But you also can't take on other debt in that situation, because if you take on other debt to eat up the rest of your income, then when a change happens, then you're cooked.
How are all my friends who bought houses in 2022 and you thought, the payment would get lower soon because interest rates would go down, you could refinance. The interest rates just kept going up and you couldn't refinance and you've just been house poor for 3 years. Can't afford vacations, can't afford the simple luxuries of life. How are your ramen noodles for dinner tonight? Literally, that's what we ate for dinner. I mean, I added some ground turkey in there, but damn, we are at our breaking point with being house poor. But the thing is, we could not sell our house even if we wanted to for a variety of reasons. But mainly, houses in our neighborhood aren't selling. Yeah, there have been houses on the market for almost a year in our neighborhood. So I'm going to need Jerome Powell to get canned or something soon, because what's up with these interest rates? Please, can we catch a break here?
At first, I thought when she was talking about being house poor, she was just asking, but now I see she's also referring to herself as house poor and that she is also eating ramen noodles. Nothing against that, by the way. You got to do what you got to do to survive. But she brought up a very interesting point. A lot of people are not able to sell their houses and they're house poor. That's a very tough situation to be in.
Crazy.
Many people don't want to buy homes at these prices along with these interest rates, which is why she was talking about Jerome Powell, who is the Federal Reserve Chairman. And Jerome Powell is supposed to be up out of there in May of next year. But for those of y'all who have been watching the news, they have been saying that there will be a reduction in interest rates. So we shall see how that affects the housing market. There is a comment here that I wanted to point out. It says 2.4 interest rate here, I'll die in my home. And the woman underneath says, I don't blame you. And the reason why she wants to stay in this home, for those of y'all who don't know, is because that 2.4% interest rate, if that's what she has, is way better than getting a 6% interest rate or an 8%.
Bro, people be getting 8% interest rates on cars. I think my interest rate like 7% right now on my car. Yo, 8% on the house. Listen. Where's the rope? Where is the rope? Yo, there's no way. There is no way I'm doing that. All right. But I think people need to look into these things. Like, I have Navy Federal, and obviously I was too young to buy a house at this time. But at one point they were offering, bro, listen. They were offering 1.3% on houses. All right. Like, I think I was like 18 when that happened, but they were offering 1.3 fixed APR on houses when I financed my first car. I was 18, right? I think so. Might have been. I think I was 18. And on my car, I had, bro, listen, shout out Navy Federal, man. Navy Federal, I had my first car was 13%. First car. Hey, man, listen, I know some people, what's that one bank that start with an S? Synchronicity or something like that. I don't know what it's called. But they be slapping that 20, whatever the max is, 26%. GG's in the chat, man.
An interest rate on a home, especially if you're making monthly payments for 30 years. Most people are. They don't intend on paying off their mortgages early. You're trying to get a home at the lowest interest rate possible if you're getting a mortgage. The reason I'm saying that is because most people can't afford to just pay for a home cash. And if you can afford to pay for a home cash, you can really get out here in the market. This is the best market for you right now.
But see, this goes into old girl who was talking earlier about living with her parents. This girl, that one right there, that was, no, not this one. The girl who was talking about living in a lap of luxury. Oh, I spent $2,000 and didn't even blink. I went shopping. This is the thing. And when you get these high paying jobs and you're still with your parents or you're still living in an apartment, yo, save your money. Invest your money in something like, you don't even got to do retirement. You got to have like a IRA account. You put it in the S&P 500. Just let the money sit there. Be house poor before you get a house. Okay. So that same girl who spent all of this money, she could have walked into the house. Now, mind you, she got past it. But if you live life like that, then when you actually go to buy a house, you can walk into a $300,000 house. You've been living house poor for the past couple years and you drop enough money on it to where like, yo, you're only fighting, your principal now becomes this big to start the interest rate instead of it being this big to start the interest rate. You know what I'm saying? That's just my thinking behind it. But then again, some people start families a lot earlier. You pop out some kids, but that's why I do think we need to take this stigma off of living with your parents. Cause look, that's what wealthy people do. They live with their parents. Sorry to tell all my middle class and lower class people that think moving out at 18 is the signal of wealth. It's not. Okay, it's not.
Now, because there's not enough people in the market willing to buy homes because A lot of homes are overpriced and the interest rates aren't what people want them to be. The people who have cash to buy houses can go in the market. And they're like kids in a candy store, honestly. They can get whatever they want. And they can ask for price reductions because they don't need to go through all the hoops with the mortgage lenders and all of that. And so many home sellers are desperate to sell their houses because, again, not many people are buying right now. And somebody right here says it best. She says, I'm right here with you. Listed my house and it's just sitting. Had I known I'd be forced to live in this house forever, I wouldn't have bought the dang house.
Like, what are people's thoughts on houses? If you don't have something you want to live in forever, then why buy it? I get it. You can buy and sell. There's not many things I've never been into reselling sneakers, reselling clothes, reselling handbags. I've never been in the resale market. So usually, like, when I buy something, I'm buying it for me to use until I'm ready to give away for free. If I can give it away for free after I'm done with it, that don't mean I'm gonna run it into the ground. But once I've had my use for it, I don't mind if this thing just goes away, right? That's how I've lived my life. So I can only imagine if I buy a house, I'm going to utilize it until the point where obviously it will have to be like my children or a family member or somebody like, look, y'all these are my last days, y'all take it, right? Like, needing to sell it. Now, if I needed to, obviously, like, I'm not just going to give it away in that instance, but I don't see the idea. I'm going to just buy this house. I'm going to buy a house and then I'm going to just get rid of it later. Then I'm going to get another house. Look, I've never thought like that.
And the creator of this video replied with, I hope things shift a little bit. We want to sell next year and we're a little worried. And the reason she's a little worried is the current state of the housing market doesn't have enough people flooding in to just buy homes. And that sucks for you if you're trying to sell a home in the next year or even right now, forcing a lot of people to be stuck in homes that they may not even want to live in. And also making people who have extremely low interest rates want to stay put in their homes because you ain't going to go out here in these streets and get nothing better.
And normalize to not go buying a house and becoming house poor.
No, sorry. I know, like, women like the leading housing buyers right now. But this video, man, decisions.
Buying a house and becoming house poor is not talked about enough. So many people are house poor.
Yes.
So many people are house poor.
There is no such thing as house poor. It is not real. House poor is a made up thing to make you feel. Because you're poor because you're not experiencing what? Excessive income? Like.
And when I say house poor, people can't even afford their mortgage. For real. People are getting $2,500 mortgages knowing that they can't afford that. Not only that, people are closing on homes with significant others. And as they're closing on a home with significant others, anything can happen to the significant other. Anything.
See, now that is, I don't think that's a majority of people though. But in those instances, I can say, okay, you're house poor. But all these people like, yo, you bought a house. When you buy a house, you have a community. Go meet your community. I know this thing, you think you have found your community, right? You have a real community outside. Go meet your neighbors. Go figure out what your neighbors do for work. Go see the values that they want to instill in their kids so you know what neighbors you can leave your kids with. Okay, my kids can be friends with these neighbors because that's going to grow. You have a whole, like, what are we talking about?
Good point.
And guess what? Now you are on your own with those bills. And those bills are extremely too high for you. So now the home is going into foreclosure.
And this is why I personally think if you can't afford the home without your spouse, that might be a little bit too much house. You might be setting yourself up to become house poor.
Yo, listen, a $750,000 life insurance policy for me right now at my age is like $47 a month. A term $750,000 life insurance policy is $46 a month. Okay, if I buy a house with a spouse and the house is $500K, Yo, that lady who was paying the extra $80, she could have took that $80, split it into 2 life insurance policies. Y'all are guaranteed 1.5, both of y'all go. Well, granted, if it's within the terms of the life insurance policy, right? Like, not like suicide or anything like that. But
she's saying. And I know a lot of people are like, I got a man, I got a wife, I got a husband. They ain't going nowhere. And nobody wants that. But life happens sometimes, and some things are just unforeseeable. The truth is, we never know what can happen to anybody around us.
That's why you get insurance. You get insurance.
And these are things that you have to consider, especially if you want to be in a good financial position.
It's not talked about enough. And it's crazy because I'm in a lot of Facebook groups and I see this a lot.
And this isn't like speaking down on people who don't know this. I just want to offer this as a solution or a thing in people's mind. You have to pay for the what might happen later. Okay. And when you live life like that, life becomes a lot less stressful. Okay. You got home insurance, you got life insurance, you got automobile insurance. If you got a job, your job got workers' comp insurance. So like, what else are you doing in your life that if something goes wrong, one of these 4 things ain't gonna catch? The hard time that you fall in and indemnify you. That's an insurance word for you. You know what I'm saying?
What goes on. Some people are in upside down, flipped up situations.
Yeah, they are.
Because the house won't sell because it's too high. They bought it at a high price during a certain time and the house not even worth that for real.
Yeah.
So now when they go to sell it, it's like, dang, they can't even sell the house. Because when COVID hit, these houses was going crazy.
Yeah.
And now they try to sell the house. They can't because it's not going to sell. It's not worth it.
And she had some great points.
But that's people's problem. Just because, yo, they slap a for sale sign on top of something, that don't mean it becomes a good buy. It doesn't. Buying has to be contingent on your reality, okay? And what your reality will be.
During the you-know-what, people were actually overbidding on houses and overpaying on houses. And then years later, a lot of people were forced to go back to work. Many people had remote jobs where they could live wherever they wanted to live. So they got homes in areas that they didn't have to consider where they worked. When a lot of people were forced to go back to work, they needed to have an easier commute. They couldn't now live 2-3 hours away from where their job was located. And if they overbidded on their house and overpaid for their house, they may have had to sell it for cheaper, or sometimes...
Did people think they were going to stay like that forever? Even if you like stayed remote, you stayed as a remote worker, people are always going to have people come in to do the job. Why did you make a lifetime commitment on a situation that rules were based on a very specific 18-month window in time? Why would you do that?
At a loss. That doesn't even account for the rest of the people in the market that were just trying to sell their homes because they might have overpaid and had a financial situation arise, like things like divorce, death, illness, sickness, being fired, being laid off. All of those different life circumstances still were happening for a lot of different people. That's where you've seen stuff really get real. And this is why I want to help you guys stay informed and be aware, because I don't want to see you out here in the trenches fighting for your life, trying not to be house poor. So here's a few things that I recommend.
I think people need to stop like the house poor thing. People need to develop hobbies. They need to develop communities of people where it doesn't cost to interact. Yes, there are a lot of things in life that now people look at as like a everyday commodity. Like, yo, I should be able to go to Dave & Buster's whatever day I want. I should be able to go to the movie theater whatever day I want. The reality of life is you have to pick and choose when you interact with certain luxuries of life. Granted, we have gotten to a space where people can dabble in luxury almost every day. And house poor is only a thing if you lose that ability. But that does not make you poor. You can learn how to cook. Go open the cookbook. Start, you know what I'm saying? You don't got to pay $80 a plate at the steakhouse. You could learn at home how to make, but that take time. People don't want to spend time growing themselves no more. They want to go to a job and that job pay their way to whatever experience they wanted. And I think that's why a lot of people end up in the predicaments they end up in.
If you want to try to avoid being house poor, buy below your budget. You know, give yourself a little wiggle room financially. Maybe don't go for the biggest house on the block. That costs a lot of money. Get you a little nice, humble abode. Get you something you can afford.
If you like going out, she's exactly right. If you like going, I'll be pausing on her craziest faces. I apologize.
It has to make.
Okay, there's a better face. Okay. You don't have to, what a lot of people do, and I think this is a men and women thing. I posted something that'd be like the difference between men when they talk about their budget and women talk about their budget. I think men is like a budget is how much do I have to spend, right? Or no, how much money does everything need to fit into, right? Basically. So everything has to fit into this. Women think of it as how much money do I have to spend, right? And once you look at it like that, if you look at it like, yo, I make $300,000 a year, what house can I get with $300,000? Bad budgeting, right? A guy can have that same $300,000 a year job. He's going to say, what kind of house do I need? And does that house fit within that $300,000? It may come to a fact that the house that they need is only $220,000. Well, let's just get that house and save with the extra 80 could have got us. There's no point in getting that, right? But that comes to the way that you look at budgeting. So what she said is 100% right.
Cost a lot of money. Get you a little nice, humble abode. Get you something.
And we got to stop saying little, humble. You don't got to say that. Just get what you need. When you go to the store, get what you need. When you go into the housing market, get what you need. If you live based off what you need, 7 days a week or 5 to 6 days a week, you'll realize you got a lot left after that, especially if you work hard in life. You'll have a lot if you stick to what you need most of the time. Then you can still get those luxurious experiences.
You can afford. It has to make sense, y'all. Don't worry about what everybody else got and trying to do what they do. Do what you can do. And if that means renting, so be it. Whoop-de-doo. Try to get more income streams or increase your income. Maybe even do some side hustles. Build up an emergency fund so you have resources available in the event that you need home repairs, because a lot of homeowners don't take that into account. And another thing is, a lot of people might have to consider downsizing out of a home that they bought that is keeping them house poor. And that doesn't make you a failure. That makes you smart. That makes you logical. That makes you somebody who is proactive if you know that that's what needs to be done. Do you know somebody that's house poor, or are you house poor yourself? And after seeing this video, what do you think about home ownership? Do you think renting is better? But we got to start making better decisions today in order to have a better future.
Now, she spit facts in this video. The only thing that I disagree with is the term house poor. I don't. I think you should be able to live inside your house and have a decent existence. There's got to be things you like to do. I think people have been moving so fast through life that they never develop like what they actually like to do. There's some people who want to sit and watch, reality 90-day lockup. That's all they want to do. Well, work, watch 90-day lockup, drink your wine, your $9 bottle of wine out of Publix, and that'll get you through. Bro, they have $5 wine at the Publix down the street. Okay, get you a little, and you're chilling. But the problem comes in when people start to compare their experiences to everybody. Oh, I've been watching 90-Day Fiance for the past 3 weeks. You were totally fine till you seen on Instagram that somebody went to Amsterdam and was doing things that you're interested in. If you were actually interested in it, you would probably be working your way to do it. But the fact that you haven't, you seeing them do it shouldn't affect you as much as it did. And if it does, delete the social media, okay? If you can't get past the FOMO, delete it. Or curate your social media to people who own homes. These are the things they do. Ooh, she built a little vision board in her wall. I want to do that. Let me go to Hobby Lobby, get some arts and crafts and do that. That's what people, or culinary. Let me start cooking these. I think that will help people's everyday morale if they start to live life like that. But that's just my opinion. Man, listen, make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe, all that great stuff. And until next time I see y'all, peace.
So when the metal hit his mug, he just sunk in place. 100K holla, chill in Bahamas. Come home to your crib and throw in your mama.